Although slavery was formally abolished by the 13th Amendment, it has made its way into the 21st century. This issue not only affects our nation, but is a global problem that has torn apart the lives of men, women, and children alike. Trafficking is everywhere.
Human trafficking is the illegal movement of women, men, and children, typically for the purposes of forced labor, commercial sexual exploitation, as well as the harvesting of human organs for black market purposes.
January. The woman who adopted you from your family has brought you to a strange place. She promised your mother she could give you a better life, one that couldn't be provided for a 12-year-old boy like yourself in Uganda. You were supposed to be taken to America, where you could receive an education and a place in society. Instead, you find yourself in a cattle market miles from home. The woman who brought you here leaves without a second glance. Confused, you go to follow her, only to be stopped by a man. He explains that there's been a mistake, and that if you go with him, he'll give you a job to help you enter America. Out of options, you agree. February. You travel on a bus for 2 days alongside 6 other boys. The bus comes to a stop, and you recognize the city as Kampala, your country's capital. You're shown a video of a child your age being beaten. The man uses this as an example of what happens to those who try and escape. You're ushered into a large house where 3 other men are waiting. They explain the rules and give you a map of the city before assigning you to your own neighborhood. For the next 2 months, you beg on the streets for 12 hours a day before reporting back to your bosses. April. More and more children continue to arrive. A man shows up, and you're instructed to follow him. Once again, you travel on a bus with another group for 3 days before arriving at a lodge. You're told that this is where you will work from now on. You work 14-hour shifts on a fishing boat. Your new bosses are ruthless. Supposedly, your earnings go directly to a sponsor in order to obtain the proper documents to bring you into America. You're told that in a year or 2, you will finally have earned enough money to make it. July. You are constantly hungry and sleep deprived. One night, you awaken to loud noises. Scared, you leave your cot to investigate, only to find chaos. Your bosses are in handcuffs, and uniformed soldiers lead you and your friends to sit in the back of large trucks. The men take you to a juvenile detention center. For the next 3 months, you stay there and receive medical help and counseling. You're eventually sent back under your mother's care. While one of your traffickers serves a 15-year sentence, the other 2 have escaped, and little efforts have been made to pinpoint them. After being brought home, you receive no further assistance from your government. Although the following story is a fictional narration, situations much like this are extremely common in Uganda. Although actions were taken in 2009 to prohibit trafficking and set a minimum sentence of 15 years for traffickers, the epidemic is still at large.
Hi, my name's Sarah. I'm here to tell you how people become victims of sex trafficking in Mexico. March 10, 2012. Your name's Cassia, and you happen to live in Tenancingo, Mexico, that is known as the sex trafficking capital of Mexico. You live in poverty, and you're a teenage girl who just turned 14. You fall in love with a boy who claims to call you his princess, who bought you new stuff, new shoes, new clothes. But it's all a scam. He has now become your padrote, your pimp. As years go by, you have now become a sex slave, a prostitute you've been sold to. You see 30 men daily for $15 per minute. You become hopeless, lost track of days. If you don't do what you're told, you get physically abused. You close your eyes every time men do things to you. You're so used to working at brotels. Finally, you think there's rescue, but no, there's surprise on it. Authorities don't take you seriously. No official does. Instead, they're taking advantage of you because you're only a minor. You're so used to going from nightclub to nightclub, brothel to brothel, city to city. It's only a before and after. Finally, you're 22 years old by the time you get saved from a life of prostitution. You go to a mental health clinic where you get medical help and psychological help as well. Many years later, you still feel dirty from all the things all the things you've gone through. Eventually, you overdose or commit suicide. Please please, let's take a moment of silence for all the victims that did actually commit suicide. Although this is a fictional narration.